It's finally full review time. Good morning, YouTube. What's up, guys? I hope you're safe and healthy and happy and doing okay. Today is gonna be a good one, I'm telling ya. Why, do you ask? Because today I am officially fully reviewing the Saucony Endorphin Speed. Here we go. Following my channel for the last few months since I put out my first run impressions of the Saucony Endorphin Speed, you probably already know how I feel about it. But if you haven't been watching those videos, then welcome to the channel, and I love this shoe. If you're unfamiliar with how I structure my full reviews, let me give you a rundown. First, we're gonna go over the specs, then the upper, then the midsole, the outsole, and then I'm gonna give you my conclusions on the shoe, and that's where I'm gonna rate it out of 5 stars. So if it's the best shoe I've ever worn and I never wanna take it off my foot, it's gonna be 5 stars, and if it's the worst shoe I've ever worn, it's gonna be 1 star. Then at the end, I'll throw up a screen with the pros and the cons so you can get a visual idea of what I liked and disliked. Sound good to you? To streamline this a little bit, I'm not gonna go over every single detail of the upper, the midsole, the outsole. I'm just gonna talk about how they've held up over the course of 50 miles with some details sprinkled here and there. Before we get started, I do wanna let you guys know that this shoe was sent to me by Running Warehouse. However, they're not gonna see this video before you. Saucony's not gonna see this video before you. Nobody's telling me what to say. Everything that I say is 100% my opinion. And I ain't gonna sugarcoat a thing, honey. So with all that out of the way, let's get right into it. Let's start with the specs. The Saucony Endorphin Speed is 6.8 ounces for a women's size 8, and for my size 10.5 women's, the shoe came in at about 8.2 ounces. It has an 8mm drop with 33 millimeters of stack in the heel and 25 in the forefoot. And yes, the Saucony Endorphin Speed is true to size. Saucony is using a FORMFIT engineered mesh, which is inspired by their track spikes. It's very lightweight, very breathable, with some minor overlays. I have taken this shoe out in all kinds of conditions. The first one being very hot. I got this shoe in the summer and it had been sweltering in New York. And all of the times that I wore this shoe, I had no issues with breathability. There's lots of perforation in the forefoot of this shoe. You get a nice airflow through that toe box. Now, if you're familiar with the Endorphin Pro's upper, this is a little thicker than that. It's interesting. I think that they use the same material that they do in the Endorphin Pro, but in the Speed, there's like a mesh overlay that lays on top of that material that they use in the Pro. I think just to give it a little bit more durability, because this is supposed to be like a tempo day, daily trainer type of shoe. And durability wise, this upper has held up really well. I'm not seeing really any fraying here. The only thing that really has happened to it is that it's a little bit brown, but that's about it. I really enjoyed the fit of this shoe from the second that I slipped it on my foot the first time. I don't find it to be too narrow, and the upper is so comfortable, and a lot of it has to do also with this gusseted tongue. It feels like a sock on your foot. I also did really appreciate this sturdy heel counter. I'm someone who needs a little bit of extra stability because I tend to overpronate, and this heel lockdown really does help with that. I mean, I really have nothing bad to say about this upper. The midsole of the Saucony Endorphin Speed contains 3 very exciting forms of technology. First, we have the PWRRUN PB midsole, which is an ultralight PBA-based foam. It is highly responsive, highly protective, and an out-of-this-world feeling. Sandwiched in between the 2 layers of midsole, we have a nylon plate. Not carbon here, nylon. But don't be fooled by the material they use. This still gives you a highly propulsive ride. And of course, we also have the Speedroll technology, which is basically a rocker tech that helps to roll you forward in your stride and just gives you a more lively feeling underfoot. Let me tell you, this is my favorite feeling midsole that I have tried in 2020. Yes, I like it better than the Pro's midsole, and that is because of the nylon plate versus the carbon plate. If you guys watch my channel, you know I love carbon plated shoes, but something about this nylon plate just works a little bit better for me. And I think that's because it's just not as rigid as those carbon plates are. You get a little bit more flex, which gives you a wider range of ways that you can use this shoe. And for me, it just makes the shoe more comfortable. I've taken this shoe out on tempo days where I am trying to run as hard as I possibly can. Got my fastest mile on this shoe. I've taken it out on longer runs where I'm not exactly trying to kill it, but I'm not exactly trying to go like easy either, you know, middle of the road kind of thing. And I've done mile repeats. And I gotta say, any type of run that I threw out this midsole, it handled with beauty and grace. You get so much from this shoe that you can get from carbon plated shoes. You get tons of propulsion from the plate, tons of responsiveness from that PWRRUN PB, plus the protection. And with the Speedroll technology, it's just such a smooth ride. I just love this midsole. I can't say it enough. In terms of durability, the shoe feels exactly how it did when I took it out of the box. The midsole hasn't died at all. It still feels extremely lively. Now, while the shoe did well on all the kinds of runs that I took it out on, they all sort of had the same theme. They were all kind of up-tempo workouts where I wasn't exactly trying to take it easy. I don't necessarily think this is the best easy day shoe or just your bulk of your mileage daily trainer. If you are buying this shoe to do all of your daily training mileage, it wouldn't be my first choice. It's really just meant to go fast or faster than your normal pace. Another thing, if I want to be nitpicky about this shoe, is that while the heel counter, like we talked about, does provide some extra stability, it's not the most stable shoe underfoot. As we know, I do not have a neutral foot strike. I tend to overpronate and go inward like this. In this shoe, I do still do that. It doesn't cause me any discomfort. I think it's just another case of this midfoot being a little bit too narrow. If we just widened it out a bit, it would be better. In general, I think it's time that brands start making speed shoes a little more stable because not everybody who wants to wear a speed shoe has a neutral strike. Hello. Those are really the only things I can think of that are negative about this shoe. The midsole is the perfect feeling of firm but cushioned, propulsive, yet not intrusive and harsh. It's magical. Saucony is using carbon rubber in the Endorphin Speed. We have some in the forefoot, an exposed midfoot area, and a little bit in the lateral side of the heel. And around the perimeter, we also have some carbon rubber for extra traction. I'm into the placement of this rubber. I think it's the perfect amount. Saucony was smart and didn't put anything in the midfoot because I mean that Speedroll technology mixed with that plate is just gonna be rolling you up right here. So this is where you're hitting, not this. Ouch. If you watch my first run impressions video, you'll see that I got caught in a torrential rainstorm while I was filming running in this shoe. And at first I wasn't sure how the traction was gonna hold up, but it was totally fine. It gripped onto that wet surface with ease. As far as the traction pattern goes, it's maybe worn down a little bit, but I mean, barely. And the great thing about this outsole is that the exposed PWRRUN PB isn't fraying in the least bit. Saucony did a great job with the outsole in all of their Endorphin series shoes, and the Speed is no exception. I've said this in a couple videos recently, but the Endorphin Speed is my favorite shoe of 2020. I mean, we still have some time. It's only October, but I don't think anything's gonna top it. I was so impressed with the midsole of the Endorphin Pro, but I just felt like it was a little bit stiff and rigid. So when I got this shoe and I had that nylon plate underfoot, that was a wrap. I think anyone who's looking for a shoe that you can race in but also do your tempo training in would benefit from this shoe greatly. I mean, this would be my first choice and my first suggestion every time. And that's why I'm giving the Saucony Endorphin Speed 4.5 out of 5 stars. It's a pretty good score. I did knock it down a tad for the lack of stability and for the fact that I really wouldn't call this extremely versatile. I mean, it's versatile in the type of speed workouts and racing that you can do in it, but for daily mileage, I wouldn't pick this shoe. But I mean, that even feels like a little bit of a reach, but 4.5 feels right to me for this. All right, now let's throw up the screen with the pros and the cons. For pros, we have the breathable upper, the comfortable upper fit, the amazing midsole flow from the PWRRUN PB and the way it works with the nylon plate and the Speedroll technology, the fact that this shoe has a nylon plate versus a carbon plate for some extra flexibility. We have the outsole traction and the price. You're getting a plated shoe for under $200. And for cons, we have stability. And like I said, I could throw this in as a con or I could leave it. It depends who you are. It's not going to be your everything shoe. I wouldn't exactly use this shoe for daily training. But only 2 cons, and one of them is kind of half a con. The Saucony Endorphin Speed is $159.95 on runningwarehouse.com, which is significantly less money than the Endorphin Pro. I'd say if you're looking for a plated shoe, but you don't want to spend $200 and upwards of that, then just get the Speed. If you're interested in picking up your own pair of the Saucony Endorphin Speed, I will link it down below. You can click that link and pick up your own pair. Keep in mind, this is an affiliate link, which doesn't mean much for you. It just helps out my channel, so I can let you know of these amazing, fantastic shoes that should not be slept on. I'm a broken record here, but I love this shoe. I'm gonna keep running in it and hopefully I get to race in it eventually. It's hard for me to not take this shoe out when I want to run. I have other shoes that I need to review, other shoes that I have to run in. But if I could pick, this would be my choice every time. Well guys, that concludes my full review of the Saucony Endorphin Speed. If you enjoyed this video, please like it down below and subscribe. And when you're done with all that, hit that notifications bell down below so you can find out every time I upload a new video. And it is a beautiful colorway. I have another video for you guys on Sunday, but in the meantime, get out there, get on the grind, and don't forget to run like heller. See you next time. For all of you who were wondering if Ruby was okay after her grooming appointment that I never followed up on, here she is! Yay! You're okay. She survived. She survived. Yeesh.